Good evening and welcome to the Trading the Tech Show. My name is Derek. Today is November 30th, Monday, and this is iLi Academy. So I hope everybody had a great day of trading. It was a very interesting day. We had quite a bit of movement going on in the Forex market. It kind of dulled out a little bit there in the middle, but then seemed like it kind of picked up again towards the end of the day. Very interesting day. We were actually down quite a bit. The futures, of course, were down this morning. I think we were down about 150 something this morning when we looked at it on the daily market overview show. But we traded off on the day to 29,638.64. So basically, we were down 271.73 points on the day. I was actually pretty pleased with where we ended up as far as our Forex accounts. Just we're able to navigate that. We size our positions correctly. The lot sizes are correct. So we're in good shape. We're not in, we're never really in jeopardy at all, which is very good. This is very important when you're dealing with Forex, that you're not really jeopardizing the account and you're able to manage it without having to panic in and out of positions. Or panicking because you see what the market's doing. The market, it's nice because the market can fluctuate. It's gonna fluctuate. That's pretty much the nature of it. So what we've kind of built into the system now is lot sizing and usage of our margin in a way that allows that fluctuation naturally to occur, and we're able to withstand and weather, pretty much anything. So I'm very happy about that. It just says, hey, we're on the right track. We're doing the right thing. Looking at the Dow Jones futures now, everything, well, actually not just the Dow Jones, but across the board, the Dow Jones futures right now are showing up 157. Now, of course, that can change, going into the morning, because there's a lot of hours before we go into the morning and before we go into our trading session. So at least about 10 hours or so, before we go into trading. So, but it's a good sign when we've got green across the board, then that means, it's a good thing. So Dow Jones right now is showing 152 points up. S&P futures are showing up 24. NASDAQ futures are showing up 100 and a half. Russell 2000 futures are showing up 1690 at this moment. So we're going to watch and see what occurs in the market tomorrow. If we have an up day, if the market's tired of this movement to the downside, and whether or not we have an up day. I read something earlier today saying that there was like an emergency session of Congress that was called because the president, Trump, and President-elect Biden had both called for the Senate to pass some type of stimulus plan. So I believe that they did, from what I read, that they had started a new talks on stimulus. But we'll see what happens. We'll see if, the talks go anywhere, if there's any type of progress. And then, if there is, then, and it looks like something can be struck, then maybe that reverberates through the market. So it's still early in the week. There's still some time for that to kind of progress throughout the week, and then we'll watch and see what happens and see how that affects us. Okay. As far as our trading goes. So we're going to go through our charts again tonight and just look and see what has developed since last night. There definitely been quite a few changes here. We definitely had some bigger moves today than even I expected. So I kind of thought it'd be a little bit easier day, but as far as, or a lighter type day coming off of the holiday, but traders were in the mood to trade. So let's take a look and see what we got here. So let's look at our Aussie CAD. Here's our Aussie CAD on this 30-minute chart. We see a really big dip down here that we got to dip below the 720 here. We see all of our moving averages were in order to the upside. So we did have a trend to the upside here. And then we kind of just cascaded down past our 720. Now, the nice thing about this, I like to see this kind of move because that leaves our moving averages well above our 720. So the move, the rate really would have to commit to going below the 720 for those moving averages to kind of commit to moving below the 720. But most of the time when you have a nice trend like this and then a big move down like this that we see, we're not going to get a real change in direction. It's you know, it's turning on us a little bit here, but at the same time, it's going to exhaust itself before it can really set up a move to the downside. Remember that markets tend to trend in the same direction, not change direction. Remember what this is. We're dealing with the foreign, the policies and the monetary policies of different countries. So those policies don't change overnight. Now, the rate might fluctuate and change. That's just a function of the market, but those policies do not. You know, so the general direction of a pair is pretty much going to be the same. So we rely on some of those longer term, you know, moving averages and the longer term charts to kind of get an idea of direction, and then we trade from there. So looking at this Aussie CAD, when I look at this, I see, oops, sorry about that. Still this mouse, I forgot to mess with that today, see what we can do. But what I see here is a little bit of exhaustion. When we hit this 720, we did poke through it just a little bit, but now we've bounced from there. And looking at the situation, we could place an order here to buy on our 50, our 100, or on the 200 up here in orange. So we could buy at any of those levels, and you know, the rate would really have to commit to going back towards that trend and going to the upside before we would enter those trades. At least the 100 and the 200 will give us a little bit more room there for the rate to commit. And if it does commit to the upside, then the preferred direction is going to be to the upside, because of course the rate is above the 720 and all of our moving averages are as well. Okay, let's see here. As far as our Australian dollar yen, we're trading above our 720. We see that well down here, well below our 200 moving average, which is up here in orange. And we had this nice move down below our 200. So we actually could have dropped an order here on the 200 right around that time. The value right then was about 76.68 or so. So we could have bought at that point, and then we would have had a profitable trade here and now as we speak. And it wouldn't have taken that long for it to go profitable. So we're talking 1, 2, 3, 4 candles or so before it was profitable. So we're talking 2 hours. So this trade would have hung out on your machine for a couple of hours, and then within 1/2 hour candle, we're profitable. You know, so that's actually a really great example of a trade that we could have taken today. Looking at the Aussie New Zealand, we have the rate trading well below our 720 here. We are in a full mature trend to the downside. All of our moving averages are in order to the downside. So now we're just waiting for more pullbacks. We got one here past the 50 here just not too long ago, but it actually dropped down pretty quickly. So we didn't get a lot of room above the 50 to really kind of drop that order on the 50. So we might have missed that one. There's probably not where, not a place for us to place an order yet, but that doesn't mean that we're not going to go up and test the 50 again, or maybe test this 100 as well. If we do that, then we're going to be bears here. We're bears, so we're selling since we're below the 720 and all of the action is below the 720. We're going to look at that and say, okay, we're going to sell into this pullback. Aussie US, and when we're looking at that, we are trading above the 720 as well. Now, as we go up here, we see that we traded well below our 200. So right now we're below. We could drop our order there on the 200 if we, to buy, if we're a little aggressive. If not, and we want to wait a little bit, we can actually place it here on maybe our 50 or our 100 to be just a tiny bit more conservative and make sure that there's a nice commitment to moving above the 200 before we trade. But there's a lot of room there to the upside to the previous peak. This previous peak up here is around 74, like 74, 05, 74.07, kind of in that area. So where we are right now, we're at about 73.50s area. And so if we get involved in this trade right around the 73.65 area or 73.60s area, there's about 40 pips there, at least maybe 40, 45 pips that we could get all the way up here to this previous high. So there's a lot of opportunity there. If not, and the rate decides to continue to mosey on down, then fine, we just delete the orders that are pending. As far as the CAD yen, we're trading well above our 720 here. We've got our moving averages all in order to the upside here. We did get a nice pullback here below the 100. That's kind of right around the turn of the day. We got a trade down here, you know, a rate that was hanging out below the 100. So we could have dropped our order either on this 100 or on this 50. If we had dropped it on this 50, conservatively, we would have been profitable. We'd still be profitable right here in this moment by about close to about 20 pips at this point. I would go ahead and call it maybe 15 to 20 pips or so in profit that we would have right at this moment. Let's look at the Swiss yen. Swiss yen, we are trading above our 720 here. The rate come down and touch the 720. So this is why we've got a lot of opportunities today. We're seeing a lot of this, right, where we're flirting with the 720. So we came down, touched it. We could have dropped our order right here on the 200 since there was enough distance between the 200 and the 720 and bought at that point in time. We would be profitable. If not, and we waited to, and placed our order here on the 100 or on this 50, we'd pretty much just be getting into those orders right now. But our intention is to trade with the trend, and overall trend in the preferred direction that we see right now is to the upside. There's a lot of room to the peak as well. The peak's up here around this 115.50s to 60s mark. So right now we're about 114.99 or so. So right around 115. So if we break that, we could head up there. There's a potential 60 pips maybe in that move. Euro Aussie. Right now we're testing the 720 here. The rate did actually break above the 720. So right now we're smack dab on it, like just meeting it right here around this 162.48 level. We have all of our moving averages though to the downside, right? So we really want to see what happens here. Does the rate really commit to jumping over the 720, or is it going to act as an area of resistance? It's already kind of resisted the move above once. We're going to see if we're going to get a second test of that. I guess, well, we're not going to see. We're getting a second test of it right now. And if it does not break that level and stay above, then we can short here on this 50, more conservatively on the 100, and super conservatively on this 200. I would say even the 50 is a good mark for us. But if you want to go here maybe to this 100, it's good because it's going to make the rate go lower than the lows that we experienced here. The previous low, it's going to have to go lower than the previous low in order for us to get into that trade. And so it's making the rate commit to a lower level before we jump into the trade. And then we've had this nice open trend to the downside here, nice mature trend at times to the downside. So if we want to commit to that and we're going to continue to move down, there's some room for us to kind of play to the downside. As far as the Euro CAD, we are trading above our 720, but as you can see, the rate did dip down here as it's done several times here lately, below our 720. It didn't stay though. All of the moving averages are above the 720. So we could have placed our order here to buy on the 200 or to buy right here or anywhere back here really, because we're down here below the 720. We could have placed our order here to buy on the 100 or on this 50. So it would have pulled back away to the 720 had we dropped our order maybe on the 100 here. Maybe we got involved in that trade. It's really, really close. We can't, it's probably, I don't know if the bid was there or not. Maybe that's the bid. So maybe the bid actually did touch. The ask actually did touch. And so we would have bought there. And, right now we're just being patient with our trade and letting it develop. Now that's something that I talked about today on Instagram. I posted 2 trades on Instagram that were a couple of days old. And I just showed that the market is very, very forgiving. So sometimes you can make a mistake in Forex on your trade, or not even really a mistake. You can just analyze it, place your trade. It doesn't really do what you want it to do right away. But you might have to wait just a little bit, and that's perfectly fine. I don't know why individuals are trading and telling people that they can't do that they just have to cut their trades. Well, I do know why. Because number one, they're sizing their positions wrong. And, if your account is in that much jeopardy of losing, itself over one trade, then, you're sizing your position wrong. So that's really the reasons why they're saying that. But we don't do that here. We're teaching you to size your trades correctly. And when you size your trade correctly, you may not make as much money. You don't make the money that's going to have you bragging, and showing off your Lamborghini on Instagram, but you're not also going to be crying in your soup when things go a little bit haywire like they did today in the market. So, you're not going to have that problem. So, it's the safety and the conservative type thing that we teach here. Now here's our Euro Swiss, right? Our Euro Swiss is trading above our 720. There was a time when we were hugging that 720 a lot, just bounding back and forth over and back and forth over it. But now it seems like we've kind of straightened out here. We spent some time here above the 720. So we're buyers here, right? So we're looking to buy because our moving averages are all in order to the upside. That indicates mature trend. Yesterday, we did get this nice move back down here below our 100. So we could have placed our order to buy on this 50 and we would have been profitable pretty much right away. Within the half an hour to an hour's time, we would have been profitable and have a nice trade that moved up and gave us a few pips there. And we'd still be profitable at this moment. So, even if we wrote it back down here to the 50, if we did that or we weren't paying attention or something, we'd still be profitable now. So, the momentum trades typically are going to be in the direction of trend. Even if we get a big move down like this, it's still going to return to the direction of trend. And so all we're looking at this is like it's pulling back like a bow and arrow. The further you pull it back, the more, tense it's going to get and the more power that you might have behind your shot, right? Or like a slingshot. That's what we're looking at. Euro pound, we're trading really, really close to our 720. If my machine would stop running over here. We're trading really close to the 720 here. So I'm not really interested in making a trade here. There's no analysis here that's going to help us make this trade at all. I don't have a catapult trade. I don't have a breakout bounce. I don't have anything that looks familiar to me as far as a trading pattern that I can trade. So I'm going to leave the euro pound for now. It's going to be off our docket. As far as the euro yen, we are trading above our 720. We've got all of our moving averages in order to the upside here. The 8 has actually jumped over the 21 just a tiny bit. So we're actually in a mature trend here to the upside. It's just starting to kind of take shape again. So we're going to have to wait for our pullback. We already got one around the turn of the day. It pulled down here below, the rate pulled down here below our 100, but not quite to our 200. We could have dropped our order to buy here on the 50 back at that time, which is about 124.55 was the area or so. And we would be profitable right now up in the 124.71 area right now. So it's not really that hard to gather some pips in the market. You just don't want to oversize the trade and being overconfident. We can do a number of these trades. These trades come all the time. We've been seeing them on the charts. We see how many we had today. We had 5, 6, 7 trades today that easily we could have taken. We're not pressed, for so many pips. We're not pressed to make a certain number of pips. We're only pressed to do the strategy the right way. That's all we're really pressed about. Now, looking at this Euro New Zealand, I think I added this back last night. For some reason, when I opened up the charts last night, it was way on the end or something. I didn't talk about it last night, but we'll talk about it tonight right here. We're trading below our 720. We can see that way up here up the top. When we expand it, we don't even see the 720, so we're in good shape. So that's telling us that we're bearish on this particular pair. We've traded up here several times above the 200, so we could have been dropping our order in on this 200 to short, maybe on the 50 or maybe on the 100. Either way, we had the opportunity to gain some bips and be profitable. I like to break even pretty early, like I said, because there's a number of trades we're going to be able to get. I don't like to see positive trades go back negative. I'll break it even early. And when it's, a little choppy like this here, it works for me. I'll break it even as I see like, okay, this pair is kind of choppy. It's not doing a whole lot. It doesn't have a lot of range on it. I'm going to move my stop, my break even there plus some pips so that I always get something out of the trade and just let it kind of, let it kill itself. So just let it kind of, exit itself, and it's going to free up some margin for me to do something else. But I got some pips out of it. I don't care. I'm not pressed for time. I'm not pressed to do another trade. I've got tons of trade opportunities just with this one simple, small strategy. It's collecting pips all over the place. We look at the Euro US right now. We're trading well above our 720, right? We dipped down here below the 200. So even if this was too close for us to drop it on the 200 or we missed it, we could have dropped our order here on the 50, on the 100 or the 50, right? And right now we'd just be surpassing the 100 right now. So it'd be just slightly positive, maybe the 50, maybe we just got in, or, or we're getting close to getting in on the 50. But in general, looks like the preferred direction is going to be to the upside. Now here's our pound Aussie. We're trading just below the 720, but the rate is between the 720 and the 200. All the moving averages are to the downside, but they're not in order to the downside. So we can't say that we have trend or mature trend going on just yet. So sorry about that, I had to sneeze. So right now we are looking at opportunities to sell here. So the rate actually got rejected a little bit up here by the 720, but all of our moving averages, and according to the strategy, we can short here on the 200, the 50. Sorry about the sneezing there. The 200, the 50, or the 100 EMAs can be our short points here. And all of those are up around the 180, 97 area or so. So there's a lot of room down here if we go down to kind of our low here that was created before, which is down below 179.86 or so. So there's a lot of room there for some pips for us to gain there. Quite a bit of room actually. So we actually look forward to seeing that trade. So we can definitely drop that order in. The rate continues to move upwards and that 720 becomes a floor or a support for us, then fine. We just delete our orders. Now, as far as the pound CAD, we are trading right on top of this 720. It's coming right through the middle there. You almost can't see it with all the scrum going on there. We've got our 200 and our 100 above the 720 here. Only thing I would do here would be to buy on the 720, maybe place a buy on the 720 because my other moving averages are so close to the 720 itself. The only safe trade I would make is to buy here on the 720 in case we go back into the uptrend that we were in. We've kind of doubled, tested the bottom here for the pound CAD, and we've almost got what would look like to me a breakout bounce trade kind of like set up here. So we had this this low created, we bounced, kind of rolled around, came down, tested the low, but didn't really break again, and then we trade off to the upside. So that's a whole other strategy that we can do. And this one being in a direction of what the overall trend used to be, I think it's a smart, I think it's all right trade to place to buy on this 200. As far as the pound Swiss, we are trading above our 720. We have all of our moving averages above the 720. They're not quite in order yet, so we're not going to call mature trend on this just yet. We're going to kind of let this still set up, and then we're going to wait for a pullback past our 50, our 100, which are right now meeting each other, but below our 200. So we're gonna kind of let this set up a little bit more, a move to the upside before we actually commit to buying. Pound yen, we're trading above our 720 here. All of our moving average are in order to the upside here. We've got the 100 just barely jumping over the 200 right now. So we are moving on to the upside here. We're going to let this kind of develop and then wait on the pullback. We kind of got, pullback here to the 200 earlier, but the 100 and the 50 were still below the 200 actually. So we probably didn't buy there. We'll just have to kind of wait and see what happens here. That's a pound yen, so we know that move. So we're probably going to get, some opportunities there pretty shortly. As far as the pound US, kind of the same deal. We are trading well above the 720 here. All the moving averages are above the 720. We don't have mature trend here. We don't really have trend going on here. We've been up and down, just back and forth over the 200 quite a bit here. So I would play, if I'm going to play this, I'm going to play it for some type of range. One thing that I do see here, let me see if I can get my line tool going here. This is one thing that I do see. I see higher lows, right? We're kind of doing this thing here. And then for the highs though, I kind of see that we're making lower highs. We'll skip this peak here and just kind of go with where these couple highs were at. And this one kind of matches up a little bit. Doesn't have to be super accurate. We just want to see what it does. We kind of got to the end here. We broke out a little bit and then went right back into this triangle, right? We went right back into it, squeezing it a little bit. And now we've kind of broken out. So we're going to see if we go ahead and continue to trade off to the upside, because we see that we are moving, moving higher lows. And it seems like we wanted to break out of the upside. And we're above our 720. So we're going to let this set up. We don't have the moving averages just yet to corroborate the trend to the upside just yet. But as this breaks and widens, then we may get that. It's the pound US, so I'm not really worried. As far as the New Zealand CAD, all the New Zealands are above our 720. They're well above the 720. So I'm probably not even going to say that anymore while we look at these. We are above trading rate, a little bit above the 200 right now, but below the 100 and the 50. So we could place our buy order here in this area around the 0.9118. So that's pretty much our buy area right now. So that's a trade that we can drop in at the moment. Matter of fact, I'm going to go ahead and right click, go to trading, and place my buy stop. I don't think it liked that. So why did it not give me my, something happened yesterday where it didn't open the way that it normally would. So my one-click trading is off. If that happens, you can turn one-click trading on. Here it is right here, one-click trading. Okay, it's on the screen. Let's see what happens here. Right click, trading, buy stop, place. Normally, it should just allow you to place that trade. You can go up here to tools as well and options. There should be a one-click trading. If you go to the trade tab, you click one-click trading here, it's going to bring up a box. You accept the terms and conditions and hit OK. Hit OK there. And now when you right-click here, you're going to be able to place this same order without having to go through the extra hoop of place button. You can just place it by right-clicking, clicking on the buy button, and it's going to place your trade. Now, as far as the New Zealand Swiss goes, we are bullish, of course, because we're trading above our 720 here. Moving averages are all in order to the upside. We've got mature trend. We're just waiting on pullbacks past the 100 and the 50 here. It looks like we got two not too long ago. So two within the last 24 hours at least. So so here we go. We've got one here. We could have bought on the 50 or waited or maybe even used the 21. And then we have one here where we traded briefly below the 100. We could have bought here on the 50 as well. Each of those trades would have been profitable, and we'd still be moving up now. Okay, so let's go to our next trade. Let's go here. Let's scroll these out a little bit. Here we go. New Zealand yen, same thing. We're trading well above our 720 down here on the bottom. We've got full mature trend to the upside here. All of our moving averages are open. We don't see a lot of separation just yet, but the New Zealand based, the pairs that are New Zealand based have been kind of moseying along to the upside. They've been very, very good pairs for us the last couple of weeks, just kind of sliding off to the right and moving on up a little bit. So they've been giving us some great trade opportunities. Every once in a while, we get these nice pullbacks to the 100 or a little below, and we get a nice trade, and it doesn't take very long for it to actually go back positive for us. Within a couple hours, we've got a positive trade. This has been very good. So we'll keep riding those, we'll keep riding those as we go. Right now in that New Zealand yen, we don't have anything that we can do because we're waiting on a pullback. As far as the New Zealand US, we did pull back here to the 200. And so with that being said, we could have bought on the 100 here or on the 50 as well. We'd have been placed in those trades. If we bought on the 100, we'd be profitable. If we bought on the 50, then we'd be waiting to be profitable here. But the direction that is preferred right now is to the upside. So we should see movement continue to the upside. Here is our US dollar CAD. Our US dollar CAD is trading below our 720 here. We've got our moving averages are Not quite in order to the downside, so we're not going to claim trend here, but we do know the overall preferred direction is going to be to the downside. So we did trade today or yesterday at least above the 200. So we could have dropped our order in here on the 100 to short, or maybe on this 50 to short. Either way, we probably still would be profitable right at this moment. Now we've got to wait for that pullback again. US dollar Swiss, we traded up here pretty close to our 720 today. But all of the moving averages are below the 720. The rate is below the 720. So our preferred direction is to sell. It's dollar as well. It's dollar based. So what that means is that we are, we're bearish anyway, just as a rule. And so we can short this. We can short this based on the 200 or on 100 or 50, depending on how conservative we want to be. I'm a dollar, I'm a dollar bear. So I'm going to go ahead and place my sell limit here, my sell stop anyway, on the 200. If it comes down there and crashes that order, then great. I'm happy. We've got a lot of room here to the downside below the 90, probably in the 90 in the teens area. So 90, 15 or so, 90, 17 or so. We've got from this level that we're at now, which is about 90, 71. So there's a lot of room to the downside if there's momentum there. If the Dow Jones is up tomorrow and we continue, to move up on the Dow Jones, then my idea is that the dollar pairs will fall. We'll see what happens. US dollar yen is trading right here, right on top of our 720 right now. We did pull up here past the 720, but not convincingly. Most of the moving averages are below. So my idea here is that it kind of pooped itself out. Maybe we're going to head back to the downside into this trend that we had started to develop. If we do that, plus it's dollar based, as long as we do that, then we may actually place our order here, maybe on this 100 or the 200, or on the 50, the 200, or the 100 here. Any one of these moving averages can be used as our short entry position. So I hope you got some good trading ideas from the show tonight. We go through these charts fairly quickly because it's very, very easy for us to analyze this way. And it yields enough pips, it yields enough trades. It's always pretty good, right? So it's actually a very simple strategy that's very effective. And that's all we really need. It's simple and effective and to the point. And it gives us confidence because we can always go back and say, this is exactly why I got into that trade. Doesn't matter if it's 2 weeks from now, you can say, this is exactly why I got in that trade. And you can walk right through it and say, this is what happened. And your answer is always going to be the same. So that's what builds the confidence for traders. When you can go back, for a technical trader anyway, you're going to be able to go back and say, okay, this is exactly why I got into my trade. This is why I believe this trade is going to work for me. And it's going to produce pips for me. This is why I believe that. And do it with confidence and be able to walk through it. I'm going to tell you right now, so many traders that you're going to meet in your journey are not going to be able to do that with their strategies. There are some that will, but a lot of times the strategies are so complex that people are lost. They can't really learn the strategy. It's something the trader really knows how to do because they've been doing it for a while, or it's just something that clicks and makes sense for them. But teaching someone else, it's just difficult. They're not really getting it. I used to sit on a show, had a guy, he wasn't there for a long time. His name was Dave. And I like Dave. I think the guy's very cerebral. I'm going to say that. The guy's very, very cerebral, very smart guy, quiet guy, very soft-spoken, perfect demeanor for trading. Even on his show, it was just difficult because I don't know why anybody was listening to the show because he just had no animation whatsoever in his voice. He was very monotone and just very cerebral type person. It sounded like he knew what he was doing, but I remember sitting on a show one day and we went into this analysis of his. It was an Elliott wave analysis. And we went into this analysis and he's talking about this leg and that leg and he's drawing it and I'm just following along. I'm not a fan of Elliott wave, by the way, but I think it probably works, but not for me because it's ridiculous, difficult from what I've seen and probably because of this experience. But so I don't care. If you trade Elliott wave, maybe that's good for you, but not for me. But he was going on and on and on. And I swear we were like 45 minutes into this explanation and this analysis he was given. And I'm just in my mind, like, when are we going, what's the trade? And I don't think we ever actually came up with the trade by the time he got done. And we're talking about one chart, not multiple charts, one chart. 45 minutes of analysis and he didn't have a trade. What do we just do? It's 35 after 11 here. So we've been on here 35 minutes. I talked for a few minutes to begin with, and we've already been through 20 charts. And you know exactly where to get in, where to get out. How to enter this trade. You know exactly what's going on. You can walk through it a million times and get the same exact answer. You can do it tomorrow. Same exact answer. Tomorrow morning is the same answer. So it's not necessary to be super, super, super duper, complex. Simplicity works, man. We're getting pips out of this place easily every single day because simplicity works. So let me go. I got to run now and get ready for, bed so that we can get up for the daily market overview show in the morning. I hope that you're able to attend that. Once again, this is Derek with iLi Academy. Have a great day and happy trading overnight. Bye.